Hello, and welcome back to part 2 of our 2-part story with Lee Goldman. Lee invented a product called the Wet and Stick for the drywall industry. The Wet and Stick is a mudless taping system that might have gotten legs if it weren't for more than a couple of issues. One immediate problem was that the machines Lee purchased to make the tape were dramatically off. Lee had his fair share of issues, but it wasn't for a lack of surrounding himself with amazing people.
You know, it wasn't just me, it wasn't just Kevin, it was we all were involved.
It's a great idea. Like, it really is.
Doug Holmberg, all the grabber guys. I mean, I could name quite a few of them.
Sure.
But we were all enthusiastic about the possibility and skeptical at the same time. It was like,
sure.
There were some guys that within the group that were going, this guy's fucking whacked out.
Yeah, but you had Grabber, which did have a reputation in the industry. So right. that helped your cause.
Which I didn't know when I made the call to tell him about the 27 feet.
We discuss his relationship with Grabber and how he tried desperately to get this Wet and Stick off and running, but kept finding challenges at every turn. We talk about Doug Holmley with Grabber and how those strategic relationships struggled with the failure of the Wet and Stick. I'm very excited and honored to kick off the 2024 sponsorship series with Columbia Tools as our January and February sponsor. This is the second time Columbia has sponsored the Drywall Podcast, and I'm super grateful to them for that. Stay tuned throughout January for some exciting ice bath giveaways, all culminating into a special Rocky Mountain adventure happening at the end of February, where I'll be interviewing 2 surprise guests. Columbia Tools is a family-owned and operated business that's been rocking the drywall finishing scene for over 4 decades. Manufactures commercial-grade tools in Canada using cutting-edge machinery and all North American materials. Catch my 2-part interview with Aaron and Elliot of Columbia Tools, episodes 23 and 26, as well as my live interview with Bernie St. James, their dad and founder of Columbia Tools, on episode 54. You can also catch my full interview with Bernie on our Instagram page. I'm excited to get into part 2 of this interview with Lee and find out just what the heck happened with the Wet and Stick. I hope you are as well. On episode 83 of the Drywall Podcast, let's just get right into it. We had quite an interview yesterday.
Yeah, who was that with?
You.
I know. I had a very long day yesterday.
I did too.
But I have to tell you, I enjoyed very much our time talking. It was good.
Me too. Yeah. Oh yeah. One of the best.
I actually have to tell you that I have a couple. I spoke to Kevin, and a couple of things came back to light, and I now I remember how I got involved with Grabber, and it wasn't red. It wasn't red and yellow and white mesh tape. It was yellow, blue, and we did some green, believe it or not, tape for them.
Red, yellow, and green.
Mesh tape. Yeah, well, I remember now. I remember. I didn't remember the green, but they had one customer that wanted green, and I got some made, and it probably took 2 years to use the stock that I had made for them. But finally, when it was done, it was done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been in hibernation. You're doing real estate and stuff, but like this, I talked with Kevin as well. Like, this has sort of resurrected some of these old ideas and concepts that were a big part of your life for many years that have been archived that we are unearthing, correct?
I haven't given this any real thought. I told you occasionally I think about it, but it's got to be 8 or 9 years.
So
Since
and maybe some emotions.
oh yeah, oh yeah, you have no idea. You have no idea. There's some characters, both great and really bad that just I look back on it. I have to tell you that I met some great people in
Yeah.
my time in the drywall business, and I it's like I feel like I let a lot of people down when I couldn't get the tape moving, and I was
Yeah.
embarrassed. I was very
Yeah.
embarrassed, and
Yeah.
the failures really weighed on me, and I just said, I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to get
Yeah.
out, and there's more things important in life than you know than this,
Yeah.
and I guess a couple of different times I just wish that I could have started fresh differently or started this journey differently for more insight. Um, I spent the first 6 months I remember just cleaning up this old business that I bought once I finally took the reins. I mean, I remember I put these poor guys in the factory. I put them through hell. I had everything taken out of the building. I had them wash everything down, scrub everything. I threw dumpsters of crap away, and uh, and then I realized that the machines were really screwed up.
So literally like 6 months when you took over. Tell us the name of the company again that you took over.
It was Duratape Corp.
Duratape Corp. And you bought these guys. You kind of gave them the song and dance. There was some back and forth, but essentially you got the business. You were able to purchase this sort of like kind of
Yeah,
crusty
well,
business at a good price.
it was. I think it would have been a fair price had I not. I forgot about. I actually sued these guys after I bought the place and realized that they not only had cooked the books that they presented to me,
Okay.
but they there's no other word. They misrepresented facts to me, but they frauded their customers.
Okay.
So how did that happen? What do you mean they frauded their customers?
Yeah.
So I I started in looking at these machines. I forgot completely about it. It was because I just put it behind me once I settled it all. But Kevin brought it up. I said, I just don't remember how I got. I know how when we met. I know when Kevin and I met because it was through Doug Holmberg, but I don't remember how I got to Doug. So this company that I bought, Durtape Core, had been selling to one of Grabber's divisions. Now I'm going to tell you how naive I was. I didn't know Grabber had multiple divisions. I didn't know anything about Grabber, but I was looking at the machines and the counter, and they were explaining to me exactly how it was operating, and I noticed the counter was off, and I go, like, so we're making rolls, and it keeps coming up like 225, 230, 240. I'm going, what's going on with this counter? They said, oh, don't worry about it. It's always been that way. Well, come to find out, these guys calibrated the machine to where you thought you had a 250-foot roll. It was coming out at 223 feet. So that was 27 feet. Every single roll, that was their profit, extra profit that they didn't tell anybody about. So I told you there was something going on. I just didn't remember what it was. So here I am starting a brand new business, and I already told you about do right and fear no one, with my dad. So
Yeah.
So the biggest customer they had for this tape was this crazy customer called Grabber in Pompano Beach, Florida. And I'm going, what the hell's a Grabber? I mean, I didn't know who these guys were, you
Yeah.
know. So, and they didn't have a website on the internet back in 2004. They were, I don't know. You could see, you could look them up, but you would see their address and whatever. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I keep looking for these guys, and I'm seeing friggin' California, some cockamamie Concord, California. I'm going, what? So okay, so then I called. I looked at the list. I called these people.
That's
And
their major customer. The Grabber was their biggest customer.
yeah, but they had a lot of little customers, but
Sure.
the Grabber was like the biggest one they had,
And
and it
they
wasn't.
and Grabber didn't know that they were misrepresenting the feet on the roll. They didn't figure that out. They didn't measure a roll.
Nobody figured it out.
Wow, except for Lee Goldman.
Well, I by accident, but so the first thing I did was I go back to the owners, the original owners that I bought it from. And I have to tell you, this is probably about a month into this whole, I've cleaned everything up. I've got everything going on. I've got a plan of attack. I'm going to call all these customers. I've written a letter that I've sent out, to everyone. I faxed them or emailed. I don't remember. But, hey, I'm Lee Goldman. I just bought Duratape International. I'm really excited about getting involved. I know you've done some business with us, blah, 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 all that
Yeah.
jazz.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be calling you to see how I can be of better service to you, because service is the key. Anyway, so I call these guys up, and they said, "Well, a 2x4 is not a 2x4. I'm not a toolsy guy. I can't fix crap. I have trouble putting a kite together. So my toolbox has hers on it because if my wife would fix things. Not really, but that's kind of
Right. Right.
anyway. So I go, you know what? I said, you know what? I got to call you back. I go to Home Depot.
Yeah.
I grab a guy that's in the lumber department. I go, what's the story? Are the screws, when they say it's 2-inch screws, are they 2-inch screws? I said, when they say it's a 2x4, is it a 2x4? Well, so I said, give me a tape measure. Let's look at this. So they were right about the 2x4. Okay.
Yeah.
I did at the time, I wouldn't have known any of this. I'm a guy
Yeah.
that's big on standards with
That
anything.
is specific to wood, though, and it's ridiculous.
Okay, but that's not the point I'm making here.
Okay.
So then I go and I buy a 500-foot roll of joint tape, a 250-foot roll of joint tape,
Yeah.
a 75-foot roll of joint tape. I
Okay.
buy mesh tape. I buy every friggin' tape that you can find.
Mm-hmm.
I had my facility was about 10,000 feet, but I could roll out a 500-foot roll of tape
Yeah.
easy from one end to the other. And I
Yeah.
just told these guys, I said, sweep this friggin' floor. I want it clean. And I just started rolling out the tape. So I had all
Okay.
these tapes rolled out, and then I rolled ours. And I'm seeing they might be, USG might have been 47 feet, 247 or 248. I mean, that's
Right.
what I
But
get it.
within a couple feet.
Not what I would do, but that's okay. I guess I get it.
Yeah.
National Gypsum was about the same. I could see that these rolls are off a little bit, but they're
Okay.
like inches here and inch there. It's not like consistent. I mean, they actually had some that were over 250.
Not 27 feet.
So when we rolled ours out and I see that we're like 223 or 222 or 224, I'm going, what? When I roll out the 500 footers, I see I don't know. We were at 475 or 478. And I'm going, this is not acceptable. I roll out our 75-foot tape. It's like 69 feet. I'm going, are you kidding me? I documented all this stuff. And I went out, I was smoking at the time. So I grabbed the guy head of production that was running the machines and whatnot. I grabbed him. We went outside and bought him a Coke or whatever the hell it was. And I said, he said, "What's wrong, man?" He said, these guys didn't have a problem with it. I said, "But I got a problem with it. This is not the way it is." He says, "Well, that's the way it's done in the industry." I said, "It's not. I just proved it." So I said, "I want these machines recalibrated. I want them, if we're going to sell a roll that's 250 feet and we're going to put it on the label, it's got to be 250 feet.
Right.
If it's 500, I don't want it. I'll give you an inch.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
But I don't, this is not what it's going to happen." So I call Pompano Beach, grabber, and I get a guy on the phone that accepts the shipments, and I tell him who I am, and I said, I got to speak to the guy that's responsible down there to buy, that authorizes the buying of this. Well, that would be Trace Boswell, I think. Yeah, it was Trace Boswell. So
Pompano Beach, is that grabber that you're calling?
That's grabber's Florida
Okay.
area.
And you're gonna tell grabber, you're gonna be like, "Hey man, these guys have been shorting you."
Yeah, you know what? I needed to do it.
Good. I would have absolutely done that out of the gate. Been like, "Hey, we want to have an honest relationship.
Well,
moving forward, these guys weren't giving you the right amount of tape."
Well, so I introduced myself, and I said to him, I almost verbatim, I said, "Mr. Boswell, we have a problem. I have a problem. You have a problem."
Sure.
I bought this company, and I based all the price I paid based on margins and whatnot. He says, "No, I get it." I said, "And we've been this company has shorted you, and I'm going to make up for it." He goes, "What do you mean shorted us?" I said, "Well, you buy 250 foot rolls from us, some 500-foot rolls from us, and of paper tape." He goes, "Oh yeah, okay." I said, "So I want you to write me a purchase order for I think I said 30 or 40, I think it was 48, a free pallet of drywall tape." And I said, "I want you to write me a purchase order for that. And I want you to have the price that you're going to pay is zero. And you can wait until you have another shipment if you want, whatever. But I want to rectify this." Because he says, "Well, you don't owe me. They owed me. I'll go after him." I said, "No, I'm going after him." I said, "I'm going to make it right with you. All I want you to do is do what I'm asking you, and give me a chance to keep your business, and maybe do other things."
Let me hit the pause button right here, because a lot of people, if you're starting your own business, even if you do a drywall business, this is, I think, what separates a savvy entrepreneur or business person from a shyster. Now, you can make money being a shyster and skimping 27 feet per roll on every roll, and maybe you can even sleep at night doing that. But I'm telling you right now, at the end of the day, when you are an honest business owner and you go to a company that's been getting shorted, and you do that's establishing relationships. And I think there's nothing more important than that right there, that thing. And because the money it'll come, it'll be there. I mean, unless you fail, it'll be there. But those relationships and that honesty, that'll
Right.
you'll take that to the grave.
Well, yeah. So, hey, it's funny. I forgot about this till Kevin brought it up, and he says, "I don't remember what it was, but that was the word. That was the word that we all got about you." I said, I forgot all about that. So So I called and I said to Trace, I said, I would like to come down and visit with you guys. I'd like to learn a little bit more about what you do
Cool.
and see what else I can do with you. He says, when do you want to come?
Right. You have a client for life at that point. That guy's like, wow, this is great. We look forward to working with you for a long time.
I'll tell you, I had no idea the Grabber had all these crazy divisions.
Okay.
I didn't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I was that new to the whole industry.
Okay.
I just figured, I wanted to learn if this guy could order, if he was doing a nice business with this former company, and tell you, they were a band of misfits. They didn't know what they were doing as far as marketing. They were like they were playing college ball from a third grade level.
Okay.
I mean, it was just crazy. Anyway, so I went down there, and he showed me around and says, I'm not the guy you want to talk to, but I'm going to make a call and I'm going to put you in touch with Doug Holmberg. Now, I didn't realize that all these guys at Grabber, there was a lot of people related to one another. Now, his brother Terry, who I loved, he's in California. This Doug Holmberg lives in Concord, California, and his brother Rich, who is the president of the company, they were magnificent people. I met their families. I fell in love with them, and they took me in, basically.
Yeah.
And I really felt I let them down. I mean, it's not. I earned their business. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But when the wet stick failed, man. And they were worried about liability, and they had been through something similar with the no coat Structus. And in the beginning, they just didn't have they didn't have the appetite, and I don't know what was going on in their corporate thing at the time.
But they did. Let's not skip forward too much. They did believe in the wet and stick out of the gate.
Oh yeah. Well, so. And believe it enough for me to go up to, they wanted me to go up to this Providence show, this builder show.
Okay.
I don't know if it was AWCI or some other thing, but it was a show. I mean, I had people lined up all around us. That's where I met. Doug saw all the excitement on Friday afternoon, or Friday morning, called, or Thursday when the show opened. Called Kevin and said, you got to get up here, because Kevin was his product guy to go out and learn and teach and all that jazz. Kevin grabbed his kids, Chris, and they jumped in the truck, and they were up there that night. And I met him, I guess, over drinks quickly. And then we really got to know each other the next night. But I had gotten, my whole thing was I cut two 4x6 inch pieces of drywall. I put with a wet and stick on it, and I would walk around as I was explaining to people. I would just clack these things. I'd have it clacked as a joint, and I'd have it clacked. I was just clacking it, making noise. They go, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, this is wet and stick. You can see that it doesn't delaminate. You can see how strong it is."
Wait, were you carpet bagging, or did you have a booth?
No, Grabber invited me to come up there and show the product. And
so you were working off of Grabber's booth,
right? Yes, yeah. I've never carpet bagged in my life.
I have.
Oh, okay. Well,
I just like saying carpet bag.
Yeah.
No, AWCI has a big clause against wearing your business shirt. So you go to the show, you wear your business shirt, you take like a, briefcase full of color packs or whatever. And, you're walking around, people are like, what's Fresco Harmony? You're like, I'm glad you asked.
It took a long time for Grabber to wear me down to wear one of their shirts. Okay. Cause me being the fashion guy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So I got to come in my little sweater and shirt and, wear my neck tie and my khaki.
Nobody looked as good as Lee Goldman coming to the AWI show. I can assure you that.
I don't know about that, but I'm telling you that I had this whole mindset about the way it goes. Anyway, so
Okay.
I'm clacking this. I had these two pieces of drywall clacking against one another while I'm talking, and next thing I know, I'm being introduced to the AAA boys, but it was only Alex and Andy at the time.
Okay.
And they were they I had they so grab I guess Doug Holmberg had somebody go out and grab a couple of pieces of wallboard, and they cut it and they put it on like on an easel or on a
Yeah.
stand of some sort, and they were having these guys tape it, just tape lines and showing how easy it was. And I remember Alex and Andy, they were like jazzed up about it. And so I said, and I'm sitting there pitching it and talking about it. I didn't have a track record of anybody using it other than a couple of handymen that I would, go to. I mean, if you were going to video somebody, you had that big camcorder.
Camcorder. Yeah.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
you had to find a someone to really use it in an application, in a real life application.
right. So
You hadn't done that yet.
well, no, I'd only had little renovation guys
Okay.
doing it. And the guy that was running my machines loved it. I mean, this guy he knew his way around tools. As a matter of fact, when I shut the whole thing down, he became a superintendent of a uh, apartment complex. He had like 600 apartments he was working on. He was going through the stuff like Grant took Richmond. I mean, it was crazy. He was using what little stock I had, whatever stock I had left. And he said he would say to me, "I don't know what's wrong with these people. I don't have a problem using this." I said, "Yeah, but you're gonna make it work. You're not doing these big jobs. That's
Yeah.
not that's not how the product was designed. It's not working the way it should." And it was all about how the glue. But anyway, so next thing I know, uh, Kevin's there, the Luces are there. From there, the Grabber buys a production run, basically a couple of truckloads. They
Okay.
have people that they're out in the field getting. They took a shot for what amounts to small money to them, but it was a big time sale for me. And
Sure.
so I would so I immediately started looking for an applicator.
How much are we talking? So there's like a small injection of capital, but like that they agreed to buying a few pallets, like
No, I don't think it was a few pounds. I think it was like, I want to say they made like a $75,000 investment.
Okay.
Uh, Maybe it was higher than that. I don't remember. I can't remember all of it now. I'm sorry.
They made an investment that, I mean, they're buying product, but they made an investment in the company, like as a
No,
owner,
no,
as part owner.
not at
No.
this point. Not at this point.
Okay.
I'm going to say, yeah, maybe it was over 100,000. Whatever it was, I know it cost me for the paper alone for a truckload of paper, it was like $40,000. And then the process probably put the total product at the total just gumming the product was probably another 50,000.
Okay.
And that would equal, I think I had a buck into it before I ever put it on a machine.
Okay.
Or
Wow.
something like, yeah, I mean, yeah. So, or maybe more, actually a little bit more. But that's not where I wanted to go with this. But
Well,
what I
just
want to
say
say is,
you had some skin in the game.
so yeah, Grabber, um, so Grabber distributed these pallets like to each locate a couple pallets to each location.
Probably strategically to strategic partners, that people that were partnered with Grabber so that they could get feedback on the product, correct?
I don't remember. You know what? It's a little fuzzy right this
Okay.
minute. I'm sure it comes back to me more. I went back and started looking at emails the day before yesterday just to that still had left, and but it all once I had a conversation with Kevin, and he reminded me about the short rolls.
Yeah.
There's a whole mess came. As a matter of fact, I took these guys to court, and not only did they pay what they owed Grabber, they paid me a substantial amount of money off the sale. Uh,
Crazy.
they decided to settle rather than me continue with the lawsuit because I would have owned both their houses.
Wow.
Because I mean,
Interesting.
I caught them dead to rights.
Yeah.
And, but that was just one of the couple of things. So that was,
Well, and besides not, being honest and taking that to your grave, you could get sued and lose a lot of money if
I
you're
didn't even,
dishonest.
it didn't even, that didn't even occur to me. The thought was, that's not how I do business.
Okay.
Remember, I come from this Ralph Lauren
Yeah.
video.
Do
And
right, do
I,
right, fear no one.
yeah,
It's
I mean,
simple.
and my father, Ralph, everybody believed in the same thing. Nobody screwed anybody. I mean, I'm not telling you it didn't go on elsewhere, but it wasn't going to go on with it. We all we had was our word.
That's right.
And I was used to making the best product in the world at one time. So why was I going to stop now? I mean, it's not the way it works.
You're taking a really high level of ethics into maybe a business that's just, I mean, the drywall industry is just, I guess, callous. Maybe callous is, for lack of a better word, very challenging, stubborn.
I don't know. I stubborn, challenging, but I don't think overall it was an ethics thing. I think most people expected to get what they paid for. No, listen, I used to deal with these guys in Long Island. They used to buy 75-foot tape, regular paper tape, and they wouldn't buy much, but they were the most fun to deal with. I
Sure.
when I finally explained to them that if they bought the 250-foot rolls, they wouldn't have to buy as many times during the year, and it wasn't going to go bad. They go, oh, well, we want to keep it fresh. I said, it's paper. I said, it's not going to go bad. Keep it in the
Yeah.
freaking box.
Yeah. Interesting. Real quick, to back up, what products were you manufacturing out of? What was the name of this warehouse now with these machines? You're
Oh, okay,
making
so
you're
I
making
named my
products.
business.
What was the name of the warehouse? And then what products specifically were you manufacturing?
I named the company Duratape International.
Okay.
From Duratape Corp, it went to Duratape International.
You kept the name.
They had customers. I figured that's that. So I set this whole thing up before or as I was purchasing it. So I
Okay.
didn't know there was gonna,
Okay.
I didn't have this, I didn't have a foresight that I was going to wind up suing these bastards,
Okay.
or did I think that I was buying a company that was short shipping guys?
So
I mean,
Durtape is producing how many products?
so Durtape International was owned by Wet and Stick LLC. And the
Okay.
reason I'm telling you this is because the whole reason that I bought this company was because I had this vision of what I could make as the new product, as the product.
Yes. Yeah. We established that in part one.
Well, no, but but I never told you how I set it up.
Okay.
So that was the vision the whole time.
You were kind of like establish all these relationships, just producing the normal products that were already being produced by Duratape, with
Mhm.
the idea that you're going to slide in this new revolutionary concept of wet and stick.
But yeah,
You're gonna sneak it in there a little bit, and then once you've established relationships, I mean, that's strategic.
that was the goal.
Okay.
That was the goal. Now there was no retail sales. They would buy some mesh tape that wasn't very good and
Okay.
resell it. And they would sell it at prices that I don't know any moron would pay for this quality, but they were doing it, and they weren't doing it much. But like I said, they had a few customers that they were selling goods to,
Okay.
and I went to every one of them that was ever sold, and
But
I made up.
you had paper tape, mesh tape. What
So
else?
so when I bought the company, they sold their predominant business was spark perforated paper tape. Oh, and
Okay.
their spark perforated might have had one or two lines of spark perfs. So I mean, not the complete perfs that I was.
Take a roll and poke a couple holes in it. And
Well, no, they had so they never maintained the sparking machines, and these there was actually spark plugs that you would hook up all these things, but they let them all go bad.
okay.
So I redid all that. I said I held it up to the light. I'm going, but they showed me though was this beautiful roll of completely all sparks.
Yeah.
You got to remember, there's this machine that's so wide. It's like 59 inches wide
Okay.
or so, and the tape is 30 millimeters or two and a 16th inch. That's
Okay.
that's what it is. And so you're getting like 30 cuts or 28 cuts, sorry, 28 cuts of
Okay.
these things, and they all go down a line, and there's creasers that crease the dead nut center,
Yep.
and then you go through these slitters and the rewind. And the rewind is what lets you know when you stop the machine to cut it, staple it, and then move on with it.
Okay.
All right. So they purposely were cutting it short, getting more rolls out of the master roll.
Because as we've established, paper is expensive, so they were saving 27
right,
feet.
this was premium. I mean, premium paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I think I sent you the tensile strength stuff on it. Anyway, long story short, so you know that didn't work. But going back to the product they offered, they had a relationship with a guy in Long Island that would give them the metal paper corner tape,
Yeah.
and they would buy a little bit of mesh tape for a couple of people that they overcharged or
Sure.
whatever, or should have sourced it. So you know, buyers also, or people can be lazy and they'll just buy whatever they can find and not even look at to see what it's priced at.
Right.
Anyway, so me, I've got all these resources from the leather goods industry, and I don't believe in one guy, and I have people bidding, showing me product, and I interview them like people. I'm looking for people to work, and so there was these three products, and none of them were worth a shit. So I
Okay.
had to rework all of those, and then once I did that, I started contacting customers, and I was giving credits out like you would be giving out popcorn at a movie.
Well, let's go back to, I interrupted you. Let's go back to the 75K with Grabber. We took off from there.
I don't know if it was 75K, but I'm giving you whatever.
Whatever.
The first real purchase.
The first real purchase, Grabbers, they believe that's the wet and stick they purchased. Positive feedback. People hate it.
They had a lot of tough time selling it because people they resisted change.
Lee Goldman, welcome to the drywall industry. Here's tape that you just run it through this little saturator and put it on the wall.
There was no saturator.
No saturator yet.
No, we put a broom across a bucket and put the roll on there and get it wet.
Okay, so maybe a little premature.
Wait a minute.
Would you agree premature maybe launch for the product?
I don't know. Well, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Because this is realistically what I used to say you could do, and you could do it. I could do it. I had other people show me that it could
Squirt bottle?
No, sir. You throw the whole roll in the bucket of
There you
water.
go. There you go.
You
And
pull it out
run, go.
and go with it. Serious.
Yeah,
Because it was wound so tight, it wasn't activating and turned to a block. You could leave it. It could take up to. It could stand up to. I would guarantee it
30
was
minutes.
no that you could leave it in the bucket for 2 hours and it would not
Oh,
block. And it
I
would
could
not
run
block.
out. Yeah, I could run out 500 feet of tape in, God, especially if you ran it through a bazooka.
No, you can't.
Done. You can't run it through a bazooka.
No, because of the viscosity of the water. That's why you could do it with a bazooka. Will work with mud, but not with water. Because I learned that the hard way.
Bazookas are efficient. I mean, there is something to be said for knowing how this shit goes on, goes on the wall.
Oh,
But
I walked into a couple tool guys. I was looking. I said I wanted you to try this with your bazooka. I screwed up people's booths, showrooms. I mean, I got them all crazy.
yeah, yeah. And the bazooka guys were like, wait a second. If he sells that wet and stick stuff, they don't need the bazooka anymore. So that's
Well, yeah. So that's why I said that you guys need to come up with an attachment.
totally, yeah. Or a
You need
or
to
a
come up with an
tool.
attachment because I'm coming.
That's where Wolfgang comes in.
Okay, so wait a minute. So at the same show, I meet the Loose Boys.
Okay.
Alex runs over and gets a super taper or that thing that you stick in on the bucket.
Yeah.
And
Columbia makes one too.
well, maybe he might have, I don't know where he went. I don't remember exactly where he went. I don't think better than ever was there. I don't remember.
Kevin said it was a better than ever
It could be. It could
product.
be. It could be. But I mean, I listen, before I had a sit down with Wolfgang, I didn't give a crap where they came from. But
Yeah,
once I saw the idea of how it worked, I came up with the saturator after some failed attempts by Wolfgang.
sure.
Um, I had a guy here in New Jersey that was welding stuff for me,
Okay.
and I had a box.
But it
I had
was Kevin. Kevin said that in his interview that he was sort of the inspiration. He brought this tool over. He saw the wet and stick, and he was
oh
like,
Alex,
"Oh, was that Alex?" He was like, "You
yeah,
got to run it through this
right.
machine. Check this out." And you had sort of an aha moment where you
Right.
were like, "Oh, wow, I need to make a saturator."
Well, I knew we needed an applicator, but I didn't have a vision. Alex ran and got that. So here's how it worked. So Alex, would bow to Kevin. I mean, Kevin was the guru.
He kind of still is a little
No,
bit.
I'm not saying he's not, but we got to remember this is 12 years, 15. No, shit. This is 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So everybody's young, everybody's running around, jumping around, trying, and they're excited about not only the
Yeah.
product, but also being a part of it. We're all a part of all of it. It wasn't just me, it wasn't just Kevin, it was we all were involved.
It's a great idea. Like it
Doug,
really is.
Doug Holmberg, all the grabber guys. I mean, I could name quite a few of them.
Sure.
But we were all enthusiastic about the possibility and skeptical at the same time. It was like,
Sure.
there were some guys that within the group that were going, this guy's fucking whacked out,
Yeah, but you had Grabber, which did have a reputation in the industry. So
Right.
that helped your cause.
Which I didn't know when I made the call to tell them about the 27 feet. So
Now you're just being that's a byproduct of being a good business person.
so we were like, bam, we were
Yeah.
matched
Yeah.
because we thought alike.
Yes.
So, I mean, I saw Grabber go around and go back to some customers, go, wait, don't use certain things. If they
Right.
saw
We're
something,
pulling it.
they listen, they've had a bad batch of screws. They've had a bad batch of this. We all do. That's part of manufacturing. Unfortunately, it happens.
Well,
But you
and
got to
Kevin does say that Grabber stands by their products like 100%.
absolutely, and
Really good company.
that's what makes a good company. I mean, nobody's perfect. I mean, Ralph Lauren made mistakes and
Yeah.
took back goods from stores as soon as he realized it. It's
Yeah.
not like it's, oh, let's see if we can get away with it type of thing. It's like
No.
you're on it. So anyway, um, so it was a challenge. So once that we saw that there was a possibility with the better than ever tool, we needed to embellish that. Now, everything that Better Than Ever made was out of heavy metal. Nobody, me included, we weren't thinking about the practicality. I mean, after all, if people are going to use these bazookas, that's not a light tool. And I mean, that's why you see these arms.
They do consider weight, a lot in those, and the composite materials, the not just composite, but some of the new Predators are very lightweight,
Okay, but what year are we talking about?
Yeah, this is a recent, I think they pulled like mountain bike technology,
Okay,
that sort
but
of thing.
I remember we're talking 2008,
Okay.
2007, 2008, 2009. That area.
They're still weighty. They're still weighty.
No, no, no. But what I'm saying is there was no. We hadn't gotten to a lot of that.
Okay.
The lighter weight material. Anyway, long story short, so I Alex. Alex lives in Minneapolis, or at the time, or Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Kevin and I said I talked to Wolfgang, and we wanted to have a meeting because Wolfgang was excited about it. He and I had a cocktail and talked about the synergy of our companies and how we might work together. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, hey, look, if we can come up with something, I'm happy. If we can't, we could be friends, you
Sure.
know? So to their credit, they tried a couple of different things.
Okay.
I just didn't feel they were right because I believe Kevin taught me that you need to take shit in the field and
Yeah.
you need to see it work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it made perfect sense. But here I am, I'm thinking, well, these guys know what they're doing. So, and he said, wait a minute, remember, it's what you don't know. Or he didn't say it quite like that, but that's what I would say. It's what you don't know that you don't know that gets you every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But Kevin would say, don't you need to see it in action? And I said, you're absolutely right. I think we were having maybe our 45th cocktail of one evening.
Yes.
And I said, you're absolutely right. So one thing I realized is the best one we had was this canister. Actually, it's on a picture that was in one of the articles from in Walls and Ceiling. It was a metal. I want to say it was like a half moon, and the top would come up, the roll would go in, and the roll would come out, spin out, and it would be you fill it full of water. Well, if you tipped, there was water out, but it was heavy and cumbersome.
Yeah.
And
Once you fill it like a banjo with water, they call that a banjo. Normally is for mud.
right,
The mud's more viscous. It'll
but this
stay
was
in there.
right on the belt, and
Okay.
and it was close. It was
Okay.
close. It was heavy and it was cumbersome.
Okay.
So once I saw that principle, I also realized that not everybody, particularly a DIY guy, was not going to use uh, something on their hip, and we're not going to use a whole roll immediately,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah.
So I realized that I needed to do something that was also out of the water. Because again, because of what I told everybody about the 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour block, not a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
They were just throwing the roll in and then pulling it out. All right. So I came up with a saturator. And the saturator was a plastic bucket like this with a lid. It held the roll up top. You wound it through, and you could clip it on your waist, and it was light as a feather.
Okay.
And
Beautiful.
it worked. Once I made one and had someone use it that really knew what they were doing, the water was swashing around, and it was pulling and tipping it. So I put a Velcro strap that you put around your leg, and that would hold the bucket in place. So clipped on your belt, you put your strap on, man, you were ready to go.
Okay.
And it worked, and it cost nothing. I
Okay.
was happy to give with every 6 boxes I gave them.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I mean, it was like, I don't know, it cost me like $4,
Okay.
maybe. I don't, it was it might have been $5, but whatever it
This is
was.
cool. Okay, this is cool though, because now instead of making a belt, everybody wears a belt. Everybody loves belts. You make it a belt. It looks beautiful. It's the best belt. It's made by the saddle guy for the queen.
Right,
He's the best leathers.
right.
You're inventing something now. There's a different kind of excitement there. Stop me if I'm wrong. Like
No,
there's a
you're right.
different kind
You're
of
right.
energy when you're coming up with something new that because now it's never been made before. Now you're figuring out, you're solving problems that don't exist. And it's a lot of fun. And I can see like you're lighting up when you talk about this application technique that never even got legs. Like, so you've got the saturator, you've got the wet and stick. Who do you give
And
it to?
I got, even though I hate the product, I've got a mesh tape business that's going like crazy.
Okay.
So, I told you about DAP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm
We
selling
talked about DAP.
I'm selling truckloads of that. Not only that, I was thinking of something else last night. So when somebody wants to distribute it, as long as they had the name Wet and Stick on it and had my address or how to reach us, I would private label it for them.
Okay.
So I did grabber labels with Wet and Stick. I did
Beautiful.
I had a company in Australia, Plasterex, that
Okay.
I did a label for uh, reliable tapes in England. They do all kinds of tapes.
Your
Great,
only request was that it would be like Australia Tools by Wet and Stick or
or
whatever.
whatever. Yeah, yeah, exactly. As long as I had some identification on there, my logo, something. I had no
Real
problem.
quick, how did you come up with the name Wet and Stick? I mean, there's obvious reasons, but
It might have been something that the original owners were dicking around with, because I told you I saw that they were trying playing around
spray
with
adhesive or
something,
something.
and that's how I got the idea. And listen, I was buying the company. I didn't care what I told them, So
Okay.
I think I talked about it in their office with them.
Did you like the name Wet and Stick?
Not really. It's funny you mentioned that because Kevin has been talking about if I ever wanted to come back into it or whatever.
We'd
And I
have to
said,
change the name.
I would never do it again under Wet and Stick. But
Yeah.
I would I'd have a good time with it. I'd go, you get it up quick with Wet and Stick.
Right, right. Yeah. Like I
No,
said, it's catchy. It's
no
catchy and it's
little
kind
blue pill needed here. Get it up quick with
yeah.
Wet and Stick.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Taper's Little Helper.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so it was tough getting, but the grabber then had me on the road with him. If there was a show,
Okay.
I was there doing the song and dance.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it. I got
Yeah.
and then I met Heath. Heath was selling for me in the Midwest. Uh,
Yeah.
independent guys. Grabber was selling their customer base, and they were all big L&W and this and that, and
Yeah.
and they were trying to get us into Home Depot and uh, all. Just they were the big going after the big boys,
Right.
and I was very interested in the lumber yards.
Okay.
84
Why?
or cat.
Why? No, I get it. Why the lumber yards though versus like the like the
Um,
Chaparrals, the GMS and the FBM, L and
okay.
W. Those are drywall specific. Seems like that's where you want to go.
Well, I didn't say no. I didn't say not. No, I didn't want those. I just said, but you also had a lot of guys buying local.
Right.
Okay, here. All right,
Yeah.
now I'm gonna
Yeah.
give it
Like
to
the
you.
DIYer, the DIY guy.
Yeah, now I'm gonna give it to you. I wasn't going after. I wanted to go after the guys that were getting their hands dirty, not the guys that were just pushing out this truck or that truck. I felt it was all important. and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
So where did I come from?
Ralph Lauren.
Okay. So Ralph Lauren, the last people that he allowed, Ralph was always in control of his sales. The
Okay.
last people, just like, is there a guy named Harmon around? You know, Nick Harmon?
Yeah.
Okay. Nick Harmon is in control of his sales.
Yeah.
He's not going to sell just anybody. He's going to sell who he wants. Now, I'm
That's
not going to
true.
tell you that he wouldn't be tempted to sell Home Depot or Lowe's, but Nick
Sure.
knows he's not ready. So Ralph Lauren, even though his production is couture luxury, it's not like a guy that's stamping out coins. He's got it's like my belts are hand sewn belts. Not
Right.
nobody sells those anymore, right? So who
Right.
do you think bought them? The guys that would actually explain to their customers what they were buying. Benchmade products into specialty stores. So the last people that Ralph Lauren sold were department stores.
Okay.
He would sell luxury, uh, big luxury stores first. He started with Saks, Bloomingdale's, and Neiman's and I. Magnum. But it took a long time before he would sell Bloomingdale's. And he would only sell Bloomingdale's if they gave him his own shop. So what I'm trying to tell you, he built this whole momentum without any big dogs. My thought is, so I would go down to in West Orange, New Jersey, and I'd go sit down with the store owner and go, or paint shop, and I go, hey, you guys, you selling to these drywall guys? Let me show you this or whatever. Instead of going out to lunch, I'd take my lunch and I go to a different guy, and
Yeah.
I got so he could do the same thing, only he knew bigger people.
Yeah.
Midwest Drywall. Grabber, I don't think Grabber was selling them. There was 6 or 7 big drywall guys in the Midwest. Nobody was doing anything with unless these guys would find them and go to them themselves. So I booked a plane into Omaha. He picked me up, and we went. I spent 2 or 3 days. I mean, I was thrilled to see the College World Series where they play.
Mm-hmm.
It was snow covered.
Yeah.
It was colder than whatever. But we went and I met all these guys, and none of them wanted to see me. Nobody wanted to see us, but we wound up selling them or giving us a try. And it was a lot of fun pioneering this stuff. I love it
Yeah.
when somebody says no. When somebody says I'm not, I don't want to buy your stuff. I said, the last thing I'm going to do is sell you. He says, I thought I wasn't going to buy you weren't going to ask me to buy. I said, I didn't. I said, the last thing I was going to do is sell you. And it was fun. It was fun. So, and then he did it, I guess he did his ex-wife's house or something,
Yeah.
and sent me pictures. And I guess that was before I guess it was his
Yeah.
future ex-wife.
And liked it. Liked the wet and
Loved
stick.
it. Loved
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's Heath is in a good position because he was running a company. Kevin would bring him all of these fantastic, cutting edge ideas. He would vet them, and then Kevin would have he'd be like he could tell people, okay, this works, it doesn't work.
Heath was the test kitchen.
Yeah, yeah. He's a guinea pig.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And he
but
he was a thoroughbred. So here I am. I can't keep anybody around long enough to run sales.
okay.
I'm running sales. I'm doing production. I'm doing research and development. I am chasing my tail
Yeah,
because I didn't have I didn't have a team.
a
I did
team.
what I did at Ralph Lauren because I had a team. But I told you that's where I had all these arguments with my father. And then I was guilty of doing it myself, but I just didn't have I didn't have Ralph Lauren behind me. I didn't have anybody around me to let me build a team. And the guys
Interesting.
that there's more to the story, but these guys that wanted to that said that they were going to be there, and there was a team of 3 guys. They virtually didn't put any money in, just wanted to collect. And I love the guys at High Tool in my next chapter, and I couldn't deliver because I didn't have enough hands. And every time I asked for help, I didn't get any. And I'm not going to mention any names because I don't want to dredge up any kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I shared I shared all my stuff. I wound up giving them I put my patent up again for the saturator and all that jazz aside for them to be partners, so we'd have room to run. And they didn't deliver. They got scared. They didn't understand the business. They had their own business. They had a deli in Yonkers, and they had real estate here, and they were involved in stuff there. But they didn't give me the support I needed, and all they needed to do is put up a letter of credit so that I could just function.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of money doing this.
Yeah. So we would say that's one. There's a many factors to why the wet and stick didn't have legs. One of them was and we talked about it. Kid got sick, had sick kid, money, but also this commercial project that failed. What happened? And you're saying the tape didn't fall off the wall; it bubbled a lot.
It bubbled. It bubbled on the seam. It's supposed to go in the seam and stick to the
tight. Got to be tight.
And it's tight, and the adhesive did not do what it had done previously.
So what's the ramification of that, though? It's not just one person you're selling to. You have tons of people that you've sent the product to. It's out there. You got Grabber backing you. Wolfgang threatened to make a saturator. You've got Hyde, and
so a lot of this stuff is all in the beginning. So this was years. This took a couple of years to do this.
Yep.
And these guys that were doing the laminating, they started, I guess, doing their own thing about whatever. I kind of felt that they maybe even sabotaged me, but they never came out with that product.
Maybe they were going to sabotage the wet and stick and make their own knockoff wet and stick. That's what you're speculating.
Yeah, but listen, I got them they never put ink on a product. I got them to put this repeating logo on the product.
It's awesome. I love it. Yeah, just like packaging tape. It's smart, man. Boom.
Wait a minute. So I told you about the labels, right?
Yeah.
So I'd have a label for Grabber. This one, I had special boxes made for Grabber.
That's cool.
I had special boxes made for customers. If they believed in the product, I put their name on it, the boxes, the count, I put their stock number. I had a part of my warehouse was back. I mean, I didn't mind backstoring.
But so what happened you're calling it a lamination? What happened?
Something they did something. There's something happened with the formula.
Something happened, and that caused the wet and stick on one particular job.
And during the lamination process, I believe they must have skipped some, or they didn't dry properly, or whatever it is. They didn't cure it. See, I had this process where they would also backwind the tape and break it, so it had the adhesive. You could actually see crisscrossing in the adhesive, so it didn't curl. I had this whole thing figured out.
Yeah,
and it worked like a charm.
Yeah.
Until this one production. And not everything in the production didn't work. That's the problem. I couldn't find where I had the rolls numbered. I had the tapes numbered. I couldn't spot which was which. So it was very,
You had to recall, essentially, you would have had to recall all your product.
no shit, or just dump it. Because what was I going to do with it? I did recall. I recalled a bunch,
You
but
said, hey, don't use this stuff.
then I realized, well, what am I going to do with this stuff? So I had dumpsters full of this stuff. This is hundreds of thousands of dollars of money just being thrown away, and I couldn't recycle it because it had the adhesive on it, even though the adhesive was biodegradable and 100% green. But paper guys want paper. They don't want paper with anything on it. So I mean, it was a mess. It was a mess.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And nobody wanted and nobody wanted to stand up.
Okay, so you don't give up right away. You
No,
don't give
no.
up. You're like,
And I still have product that I can show that demonstrates it works.
okay.
All right. So I mean, not everything was bad, like I said.
Okay.
But I had to go into boxes and test stuff anyway. So I went up to Massachusetts to one company. I went to New Hampshire to another company. I went to another place here in New Jersey. I went all kinds of places.
Did Grabber pull out at this point?
They certainly weren't going to sell wet and stick till I could tell them.
But you still continue to limp along. You're like, I can't let it go.
No, I wasn't limping. I was going full tilt boogie.
Because you're selling the fiber tape too, still.
Yeah, I am. But I'm down to the nubs as far as my money goes, as far as my input goes, and so I made restitution to Grabber by giving them fiberglass mesh tape and regular tape to get even.
Okay.
As even as I could get. It took a while.
You felt bad. You felt bad.
I felt terrible, but I wasn't going to quit. I just knew I sensed that I couldn't count on Grabber any longer, and I had other customers that I didn't want to endanger. Some of this stuff went to Australia that was bad. That was a fiasco. I tried to make up as best I could with them. I don't think I ever made them completely whole, but I got pretty close.
Are you looking for an investment at this period?
Yeah, but I can't get investors when I don't have a guarantee resources that can make the product that I need.
The laminator guy fucked you.
Pretty much.
And so you needed another person like that, but those guys don't grow on trees.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't want to give away too much of this.
Goddamn laminator guy. What the fuck? What was their problem?
They wanted to blame the paper. The paper wanted to blame the matter. The paper never changed.
Let's solve it. Let's solve it. You're shooting yourself in the feet. I'm out here selling your product. The more I sell, the more money you make.
I am like the pimple on the asshole of an elephant.
Weird. It's like,
it was too small business at the time. They didn't see, nobody looked at the big picture. Listen, I would go to
dinosaurs, fucking dinosaurs, man. That's why this industry is
corporations, and they were being, they were smart in what they were smart in that, they didn't, this was going to be a new business for them. So they didn't want it. I have to also tell you, we're just climbing out of. Life is not the way it was in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. There were tough times in this industry, and now I'm saying our industry because now I am full-fledged. I have been baptized, man, and now I was not beat by the economy. I was beat by the quality of production that was always unquestionable. It was unquestioned. these guys never had a problem. I never had a problem with them.
And then all of a sudden, this lamination starts coming out wonky. That's pretty
Well,
hardcore. That
I
is a
know.
hardcore accusation, you know. And even if it was
Well,
like, even if it was purposeful or accidental, still, it's like, how do we rectify this?
so initially I thought it was purposeful,
Sure.
and there's still a little bit part of me that wonders. I always liked the owners of this place. I always thought that they were good, but I saw a different side of them. But then I also realized that one of the guys that was always their mechanic and their chemist, so to
Yeah,
speak,
yeah.
he left.
Okay.
So I said, is there any correlation between this guy leaving and all of a sudden we have a problem?
Right.
Absolutely not. We know what we're doing. We've been doing this for 100 years. Blah, 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 you know, like how dare I? So that relationship became irreparable, and uh, and they knew I was. I'm a speck of lint compared to a rug. That's how big these guys are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even though they have all these ISO checks in place, whatever, they screwed the pooch, in my opinion.
What
Because
other products was the,
I had tests, I had all the proof I needed. I had tests on the paper, test on the adhesive, test on all this stuff that I had. You can't imagine. I'd sit at home with micrometers checking the tape and the weight and everything. It didn't matter. It didn't
yeah.
matter unless I was going to have some lawyer,
Yeah.
not some lawyer, an attorney take this on a contingency because I didn't have it.
Was there a contract in place stating that they had to keep at X amount of quality?
No, no,
No.
it was always on the purchase order.
Okay.
I mean, they offered me like 50 off on the invoice, but that's not an admission of guilt. They were saying that they were doing that out of the kindness of their heart. And I
Yeah.
said, that's not cutting it.
Yeah.
Because I bought and gave them the paper,
Yeah.
and 50% of their process doesn't take care of the paper.
Right. They've ruined the paper.
And well, not only that, but I went you know what? I went with my lungs. I took everything. I'm not talking about one truckload of paper. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about one small run. This was the biggest run I had done to date.
Ugh.
I mean, I'm telling you, I was manufacturing truckloads of this paper, this tape, this lamination, this paper, and it was out,
Yeah. The wet and stick.
boxed, special packaging,
Yeah.
every one of them. This you don't just send out the paper. All this was shrink wrapped. When I thought I had, I mean, I kept getting with different manufacturers to finish the product. Once I sold I kind of gave my machines away to this one manufacturer when Sam got sick, and they said they would make stuff for me free for a year or 2 years. But of course, I didn't have a product because I was spending. What they did do is they would resurrect the machines in order for my trials, but I never got it right to where I felt I could make production again. Every time I thought I had it, something would backfire. Then I think I got it.
Were you trying to do the lamination yourself?
No, well, I was trying to get somebody else to do it.
Okay.
Not me personally. No,
Yeah.
yeah, I
You
was
were
subbing
still
it.
working on it.
I was subbing it out, and I thought we had it, and I did a small run, and that failed. So I was out of luck, and I had great promise going with Hyde. Sherwin-Williams wanted to put it in every store.
Okay.
They Hyde made all these displays.
Well,
They
as you
made
said, that's where you shine is you see the whole direction of it. Like you just couldn't fucking dial that product. You couldn't, I mean, after that failure, it was like you couldn't get it back.
I mean, Grabber would see me and doing stuff with hide, and they were saying, "Is the production ready yet?"
Uh,
And I said, I'm still working on it. I'm doing some pre-selling. I think we're close. Let me know. Never got it.
yeah, never got it right.
Just never happened. Well, I got
And then
close.
and then your child gets sick, and you're
Uh,
like, you know
that
what?
was
Fuck
that
all
was
this.
that was a part of it. That was
You're
part of it.
like, I'm done.
It was
I've
it wasn't totally, but by the time Sam got well enough for me to get really back into it, uh, it was the ship was sailed out of
yeah,
the
it lost its momentum.
yeah.
So, what does Lee do? We get post wet and stick. Thank God, your kid's okay. So,
Yeah, Sam is now he took two transplants, but he's there.
he's
He's doing
there.
well,
So that's
leading a
good.
normal life.
That's a little happy caveat to the story. Just, what's
Yeah,
important, actually, what's really important, you
hey,
know.
I am I have to say that I am pretty happy. I miss the involvement. I'm sure you
Yeah.
saw that I had the enthusiasm.
Yes.
I think
Passion.
I had the formulas to make this thing really roll. I just didn't have the capital, and I took my shot with it. I would love to have another opportunity at
Hey,
some
you know
point.
what, Lee? That's more than 98% of people get to do. So, like, and not only did you have a shot, you've ran successful businesses. Like, it's not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. It's not like you have one shot and you failed. It was like, you are an
no,
entrepreneur. And when you're putting yourself out there in the world and with your idea, that failure is inevitable. This is, I think, a misconception about entrepreneurialism, and most of them fail. Like, this is another aspect of being a pioneer that people don't realize, is that you really have to have a different level of tenacity and stick-to-itiveness in anything you do, right?
right. I tell you, I regret that I didn't get a chance to realize the success with the people that were in the trenches with me. I will tell you
Yeah. Okay.
the guys in Australia, the guys in England, but
Yeah.
the guys up at Hard Tools, but in particular, I have to say, Grabber. Those guys,
Yeah.
so I don't
Yeah.
know who's around anymore, but
It's like,
dude, I was selling in Belgium. I was selling in Spain.
yeah.
I know what the market is over there. They
Yeah.
loved the product. They were thrilled about it. But when I saw that I couldn't produce it, I had this tape company over there, and I unfortunately I don't have any reason to be involved with these people. Uh, Reliable source, but they were fantastic people. They great
Yeah.
energy, great insight. They were right there with me. We were very similar in our enthusiasm and our integrity factor. But how can I sell them something that I can't make?
Yeah.
It was and I but I knew I could. I'm still no. I
Yeah.
get a call from this one guy that's close by. He says, "You ready to take another shot? We just need a little dough, and I'm ready to go." And
Okay.
if about the adhesive, I mean, he would love to put this his competitor, this laminator, in the ground,
Okay.
but I can't. I don't have it. I that's where the sponge is all squeezed out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're doing realty now. Did you jump right into real estate? And why real estate?
Um, well, no. If the answer is no. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew
Okay.
God, I was pretty depressed down. I was
Yeah.
pretty down. I and I certainly went through my doubting of myself period.
Sure.
Kick I was I spent more time kicking myself. And I was embarrassed to I didn't stay in touch with that much anybody either. So I sold insurance for a year,
Okay.
got my insurance license, and even though I love the people I met, and they still call me to this day. As a matter of fact, I've sold them houses.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
It wasn't my thing. Um, I had all throughout my life, since I guess since the late 70s, early 80s, I bought and sold my homes. I
Okay.
bought this, and the first thing I did when I sold my business in my the polo campaign business, I bought a piece of property with a guy, and we developed it in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Uh, but before Brooklyn became what it is today, I mean, you can't even get in there.
Right.
And
Excellent.
and then I just dropped that once we completed our sale, whatever. I know houses, know a little bit about all this stuff. So got my real estate license. I interviewed like 20 different realty firms here, and I met a guy that was about my age, but he had been doing this for like 35 years, and he had the right personality. And actually, it was the last guy I saw, and I
I love
didn't
that
even want
you didn't apply, you interviewed them. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I was kind of, thinking I was going to go with this other firm, and I wasn't real thrilled about it. And then I met this guy, and we clicked. And I had told him right up front, I said, I've already made my decision, but I'm going to give you the courtesy of an interview. He goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, really?"
Oh,
Yeah,
really? Thanks,
yeah.
asshole.
And
Never
now
mind.
he became my mentor, and
Hey, you know what? I would hire a person on the spot if they told me that. Yeah, I might consider working for you.
well, he's my mentor. I love him. We're good friends. We play golf
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
But it's not thrilling to me. So before I got involved with wet and stick and the Duratape, all that jazz, I really wanted to do this deal in England, this Viella. I felt like I could be the next great luxury brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I just did, it was just one of those things. But I spent a lot
Yeah.
of time on it. And then
Yeah.
once I did I said I didn't even want to do this Duratape at first. When it was first, brought up to me, they had to coax me for months. And then, then I got the bug once I got in there.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so I love the idea of helping people. Right now, people trying to find a home is a big deal.
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to be more of a consultant, I guess, for people that want to be able to have somebody confidential that's got some experience to kind of help them
Like a mentor.
move their business forward.
You have a lot of experience.
More board than actual hands-on. I think at this stage of my life,
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to be able to resurrect a product like
Sure.
this. Uh, that would be that would be fun for me. But I don't know that I would want. I don't have the same energy to
Yeah.
do all the running around. I mean, I would do
Yeah.
everything. I would be on the fork truck. I would
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
I did. Everybody would go home. I'd get on the fork truck. I'd move it around. I'd get things ready for the next day. I mean, I just loved it. I was like a peacock running around, but I was a humbled guy.
You were developing a new product. There's just something about it, man, that is so that challenge speaks to a different part of your soul, you know? It's really cool. Yeah, and this is an industry that's changing now. These older dinosaurs are dying off, and you have a younger generation, a more
What's
savvy generation coming up that's maybe a little bit more open to the possibility of something new. And that's exciting. That's different, where you
right?
get younger people that are like, they haven't done it this one way for all these years. They're like, oh, colored mud, that's cool. Oh, wet and stick, yeah, give me a roll. I'll try that. That's a totally different attitude than, I've done it this way. My grandpa did it this way, and this is the only way to do it.
The number of fine men's specialty stores that are out there today, you can count them on your fingers and toes.
Sure.
You can't, there's no way of duplicating what was done back in the late 60s, early 70s to now. I mean, Tommy Hilfiger and Nautica and a few other, J. Crew couldn't have existed because there was no Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren showed them the way. I mean, Tommy Hilfiger knocked off the whole Ralph Lauren line to get started.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fact. They took those guys that were running Tommy Hilfiger once worked for Ralph.
Yeah. Yeah, but
So the same thing with Nautica. So now it's a little slower coming with the I call it the hardware industry,
yeah.
uh, construction industry, if you will.
Construction. Yeah.
Yeah, construction industry. But you see fewer and fewer of those specialty hardware stores or lumber
Hmm.
yards because they're being absorbed by the bigger guys because they can't compete. If you go into these bigger lumber yards or these bigger box stores, you're seeing the same product over and over and over. You're not seeing differentiation.
Good point.
The same thing is in fashion. The specialty stores have
Yeah.
something, but you go into Macy's, Bloomingdale's, whatever, North, they all look the same. I told you about the belt business. The same product is on the shelf that was on the shelf when I left.
Hmm.
And I could go into a store and look at 5 out of 20 SKUs and go, those are knockoffs of what I did, but they're so old knockoffs they don't even resemble it anymore. This is
Hmm.
the concept. So I'm seeing the same thing when I sell homes. So what do I see? I see renovation products. I see new homes. I see the choices that the builders are offering the future homeowners. It's
Hmm.
all that same bullshit composite flooring for the most part,
Hmm.
or it's who's offering what kind of woods, and it's not
Yeah.
about creating a new finish in most cases. It's
Yeah.
cookie cutter stuff. It's just in a different box.
Yeah.
It's the
California
same
closets.
gray. It's the same. I remember when California Closets was especially little niche
Hmm.
thing. Now it's like a big corporation, right? So you see the same molding on all the new construction or similar. It's not a lot of different choices. Why? There's no specialty stores for the big stores to emulate because they bought them all.
Hmm.
They cannibalize themselves.
Yeah.
It was the specialty store that offered Ralph stuff that the other buyers would go in, that the buyers for other companies are going, we could take something like this, so would our design department change a little. They don't even bother changing anymore. They just take this guy's stuff and make it their stuff with their label. You can't
Right.
tell the difference.
Right.
I mean, the point of fact, go to any Burlington Coat factory or outlet store, TJ Maxx or whatever. It all looks just like the same garbage, and it
Hmm.
looks like garbage because it's on the same kind of racks. The housekeeping is abysmal, and that's where America's buying their product. Yeah, or fine men's shop. I mean, they go on Amazon, they get a pair of pants. Oh, they look like nice. Or they go on Facebook and see some friggin' ad and go, oh, these jeans stretch, oh, they'll cover my big fat ass or whatever. And they, hey, let me get a blue one. Let me get I want to step out. I'm going to do a yellow one.
It's funny. I talk about that a lot with shoes and clothes, how I really need to try them on, especially pants. Like, how the fuck can you buy a pair of pants online?
You can't. Unless you don't care what they look like. I mean,
Right.
well, no. I mean, I bought stuff online if I know that it's something that I want to work in the yard on, or if I
Yeah,
don't care
yeah.
what I look like if I'm bumming around. But I mean, I'm still particular about I want a workout pant that I could go do my walking in the winter months. I can't find anything that I even want to try on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's me.
Lee Goldman, I think we've gotten through the thick of it. Only took 4.5 hours. 2-part episode, maybe 3-part.
Whatever.
Thank you so much for your time and inspiration and being with us today. We'll wrap up and then we can stay on a little bit and talk if you want.
Yeah, sure.
I've got to go to the bathroom.
No, me too. So I'll see you in a minute.
All right, see ya. Shout out to Lee Goldman for being with us on the Drywall Podcast today. So appreciative, such a great story. I really appreciate your time, energy, and knowledge. Thank you very much. Guests of the Drywall Podcast will receive a sweet swag bucket from our friends at CSR just for being on the Drywall Podcast. If you're curious about being on the Drywall Podcast, or you know somebody that might like to be on the podcast that you could recommend, you can reach out to me directly at info@frescoharmony.com or call me 505-400-9313. I would love to hear from you. Also, I want to give a loud shout out to our friends at Columbia Tools. Their top priority is giving you a great experience from start to finish. Got a question or a concern? They are ready to tackle those head on by email, phone, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. They are all over the place. And be sure to check out their YouTube channels with super detailed how-to videos. Their maintenance videos are the secret sauce, and those kick-ass videos will keep your tools in prime condition. You can find out more about Columbia Tools and join the family at their website, www.columbiatools.com, and make sure and like them on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook as well. Thank you so much for joining me on the Drywall Podcast today. I sincerely appreciate you listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Tune in every Friday for new episodes, including next Friday when we have Dan Wessel, Blue Steel Drywall out of Toronto, Canada, with us. But until then, you guys have a fantastic weekend, and remember, keep drywalling.